Hi Anna.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
You are in your studio or you are at home?
In the studio.
Ihr habt eure Mitarbeiter alle jetzt nach Hause geschickt und die arbeiten jetzt im Homeoffice.
Genau.
Exactly.
Und
haben den Computer mitgebracht, haben den ihre Computer vorbeigefahren, damit sie besser arbeiten können. Genau.
Exactly.
Und jetzt so das Büro so halb leer. Genau.
So we are kind of at home actually. So it's the same, different scenario, same constellation.
arbeitet ihr jetzt anders als vorher?
It's a bit complicated because basically we are still trying to understand what is the best way to work. I think like everyone, and we tried like to do it from home most of the time, but here it's better because of the big computers and all power that you need normally to develop any kind of work. But at the same time, we don't need it all the time as well. So we were like, okay, so if we really don't need a lot of things, let's stay at home. If we need a bit more support from computers, printers, whatever, then we come to the office. So we are still like, what is the routine? So it's a bit confusing still.
Wie klappt das mit eurem Team? Also wie funktioniert die Zusammenarbeit zwischen euch und eurem Team?
Eigentlich ganz gut. Maybe in English it's better. No, but basically it's like quite fine. We work with the server, and basically our team is quite independent, exactly. Like because since like we discuss some projects, we discuss the next steps, and therefore they continue to work from their home and like place files on the server. We have kind of conferences or phone talks. And actually, it's quite good because it's basically you don't have to sit next to them or discuss stuff. They are really independent and able to do their work.
And how works the communication with your customers?
It's pretty much still the same. So we didn't found that there's a very big difference, mainly because everything that happens goes a lot from me and Gary. So there is pretty much the same kind of routine. And what we feel also is that our clients, they are also keeping on working. So as much as they can, of course, like from home office and everything, but we feel that everyone is pushing to continue to work and not just like, oh, let's do a break, see how it goes. It's definitely not like that. So everything goes further.
For sure, we had some meetings, supposed meetings where we meet in person, also for the first time with some clients. But in this case, we had now the first time like really telephone conferences and presentations, like not like in person, like it's used to. So it's quite different in a way, but it seems it's a must. So everybody accepts it, and actually it's working. Different because you don't need people in person. It's hard, like if we meet for the first time, to get to know each other like you used to, or like seeing production,
Exactly.
seeing like the company. So right now it's a little bit remote, it's a little bit more research, it's a bit more digital. Let's see how it will influence like the results. We hope like in a certain moment in a project we can also visit them and like again have more direct contact. But right now it's a little bit digital.
Ich meine, ihr seid beide sehr technikaffin. You're really fond of techniques. Do you think that this exceptional situation will change the way we work together and we communicate also after the crisis?
I think definitely something is change, yeah, because there's something that makes you having to act in a different way that you didn't before. I also think that a lot of people are quite fed up about the idea of having to work under these conditions. So home office is not something that they chose, rather was imposed. So I think that it's going to happen that a lot of people are going to be like, yeah, cool, we can go back to normality somehow. But at the same way, I believe that in the moment that you learn a new tool, it's very difficult just to give it away. So if the tool is better for some reason, I think that you're going to use it more, or you're going to start use it, or maybe it's really going to replace something. So maybe the home office story is something that was really like you just do it if you're sick or something like this. Maybe now there's going to be like moments that you think, no, actually it's better for this and that reason. So I think it can change a little bit.
Same. I also think like it really depends. I think it will maybe change the idea of business trips in a way that like also when we had supposed to have meetings with kind of Zulieferer or like material companies, and right now then they send you samples, but it's not anymore this like one-to-one meeting, which is also questionable. Like, do you really have to drive hundreds of kilometers just to show a brochure or some new materials, or can you do it via Skype? So I think in a certain moment, I think the amount of travel, like people will afterwards question if it's really essential or needed to do this trip, or if you can do it like just digitally or in another way, basically.
Beschäftigt euch das Thema auch als Designer? Also denkt ihr über Lösungen nach als Designer, angeregt von der jetzigen Krise?
In the beginning, we thought about it, kind of, if we should start, like, since it was this moment of kind of home office, like seeing how the projects go on, like to see is like, how can we use this insecurity time, or it's like was a task for our employees. And we're thinking about like how can you make products or something for people at home who are bored, you know? It's like, but in another way, we thought of like, yeah, it could help, but there's also right now happening a lot of in this makers communities, and actually if people want to really create something, use their 3D printers, do something at home, right now there's such a big Angebot. So we didn't saw yet the need for it. Mm-hmm. And for us it was that kind of like it was too much, not PR, but it's like we just do it when it's needed. We're just not doing it just because it's right now the thing. So we then decided like, no, we continue with our projects. And again, it's like the moment we think people get crazy at home, maybe we make our thoughts about it. But right now, I think it's like still continuing. So it's not really influencing us right now. We thought about it, but we had our decision why we don't do it.
I think it's also, for us, it's really a bit complicated. I mean, you are in a moment that there's so much going on, that so many things have changed. And for us, we have been also trying to see what should be the thing that we concentrate in order to try to help, because there's so many things we could do actually. And I think we just didn't find yet what we believe is the point that we can help the most. But of course, like when we are working here in our project, sometimes we are really like looking at each other and thinking like, oh, there's so much going on right now in the world. What can we do? What can we do to help them? Because our projects, they're also important. I mean, it's something that it's what we know from the world basically. So things have to go on, and of course, it's important to continue to deliver to our clients. That's not a question. So, but what could we do on top of that to support? I don't know. I was even thinking about the people that come to deliver you food. I mean, they are also really in a very special situation, and they are not getting tips right now because, yeah, you should not give them money. So can you create something there to support? So we are like paying a lot of attention, but we didn't find yet what can we really help.
Mm-hmm. You are working also for international clients quite a lot. You went to South Korea a short time ago. Do you think globalization will take another path now after this event, after this crisis?
Important and crucial question, and I don't think we have already the answer, because so many things are changing and it's really not clear the path. Also, even just in Europe. So I'm Portuguese and I see the news in German, I see the news in Portugal, and I also watch Reuters World just because I would like to have something a bit more different. And when you see like how people political wise are dealing with the situation is really very different from each other. And of course, we are in a moment that you really think like, what is even about European Union? What is going to happen to it? Because when you think about the things that it's based on, some of them are in question at the moment. So if even the European Union is something that you can maybe doubt, or there are people really doubting about it, of course this is going to affect a lot globalization and the open markets. So it's definitely something is going to happen. You're going to see also a lot of people maybe getting a little bit more nationalist in a direction. I'm not saying in a radical direction, hopefully, but I also see that there is still a possibility that everyone just wants to go back to the normality or to the life that they had before, and for that you need to have a world which is globalized. It's just like that. So in my opinion, I don't think that maybe it's going to change so much, but it's very early to say.
You have been to South Korea and you have learned a little bit about the culture and the working culture. Now we see that South Korea deals very well with the situation, much better than other countries. Can you explain maybe a little bit why do you think they are able to get along with the situation so well?
One thing is basically it's really technology in a way, because they're really kind of open. It's like, again, I think like here you have this kind of privacy concerns, but there it's more about not privacy, it's a benefit for you basically, and kind of like everybody shares everything like digitally. So it's basically kind of a help for them. You have here the discussion now in Germany right now about like, it's like privacy concerns, but again, it's just basically, it's kind of mass data. It's not like the individual, like, but I think it's this kind of like, first they're really healthy or concerned about their health.
They were before, so it's not something that they became. So they were extremely concerned about health already. So.
And another thing is really the way of, it's like we said in the beginning, like they are really open for new technology and using it. And also trying, like, again, they are like quite open to learn also, like this all crisis management is actually the result of the SARS outbreak, as far as I understood. Like that after this, they learned and trying to improve what the mistakes were made, and then they build it up, the whole system, for the next time. So I think in a way they are quite prepared, or have been quite prepared in this direction.
In my opinion, we always say that the Koreans, they are the best doing whatever they decide to do. So if they want to do baguette, they do the best baguette, better than the French, I'm sorry to say. The coffee, it's better than the Italian one. So in the moment that they decide to learn something, they really become really, really professionals in everything they do. So if they decided now we're going to fight this, it seems that no, okay, so we're really going to do it really super well.
Wunderbar. Vielen herzlichen Dank.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gute Gesundheit.
You too. Stay healthy.
Danke.